My name is Lee. Firstly, I want to say sorry that I have no teeth. I have some problems with implants. My name is Lee. I'm from Edinburgh in Scotland, and I've been here for about nearly 15 years. I'm a teacher. I'm an English teacher now, as you can see. The parents are delighted, are very happy, and I've been getting tattooed in La Parateria with Marcos for the last nearly 3.5 years, I think. 3.5 years almost, yeah, weekly. Lee is a person who can, I think, who understands a lot of pain, dolor, suffering, pain, and I like to express it in my body and in my mind. I like to push myself and test myself and do tests to give myself a test to see how much I can suffer. For me, it was like the idea of the whole body was again the suffering thing. I didn't want to do one small tattoo which had a little bit of meaning here and something else here. I wanted to do a tattoo that had meaning in my whole body. So the story began in my head and finished in my feet. I wanted to have a whole story of the whole experience and not just have one piece of art here and one piece here. It had to be connected and had to be alive. It's a very complicated relationship with pain. I like pain. I can suffer a lot of pain. I'm not fazed by pain, but I continue like to. I suppose it's perhaps the addict in me that I like to test myself with pain a lot. I can suffer a great deal, emotionally and physically. So this was like a test of both a physical and a mental kind of pain. So I was able to test myself to the maximum. I'm not sure whether this experience is helped in the sense that I feel like I've had therapy and I'm suddenly cured of my demons or whatever, but it certainly has tested the limits and the boundaries of what I think is the relationship between pain, physical pain and mental pain. So it's definitely helped in that, and it's helped expose the demons rather than cure them. I would say it's an ongoing process, but I definitely have benefited from the experience immensely, and I almost have my life story 3/4, almost to the end. The most painful, maybe the most painful under the arms, maybe here, or maybe the belly button. I don't know how you say in Spanish, maybe the belly button. Or the ass. The ass is pretty sore too. Here, they're sore. Not a little bit sore. The head was sore. But I'm going to say, I have to be honest and say, I think the most painful was the ass, the whole ass. It was very, very painful. I remember that day very well. Very, very, very painful. Would I do it again? Would I go through the experience again? I don't think you can repeat. I don't think you can repeat the experience. I think it was a time and a place in space when I met Marcos and we met each other and our relationships developed from there. So I think now it would be different. To try and repeat it or emulate it would be very different. But it was the perfect time and place for the thing to happen, and it evolved impeccably. I think you really have to know there's two things. First of all, you have to know your own story. Before you even meet an artist, you have to know your own story. What is it you want to say? What do you want your body to say? What do you want people to extrapolate from your story and your body? And then you have to think about your story very carefully and plan the story. Make sure it's coherent. And then you have to find an artist who's willing to sacrifice their own ego for your storytelling ability so that they can display your story through their art. So it's definitely it's a process that involves two people, and you have to leave the ego at the door. There's no space for ego when you're doing a project as intricate as the full body tattoo experience. Very non-vocabulary. The reason that I first met Marcos is we were working, and I was teaching in a centre in Valencia, and I met Marcos through a friend, and I would say that the relationship has developed I'm not sure if you know, but a tattoo is done primarily in silence with the sound of the machine. So our relationship has developed more so in a non-verbal kind of way, because Marcos is Italian, I'm Scottish. His Spanish is terrible, my Spanish is terrible. So in a non-verbal kind of way, it kind of grew from that. It was great. It was a lot of empathy and a lot of kind of non-verbal language we used to develop a very close relationship. When someone's going to tattoo your genitals, I think you have to trust and get to know them very well, and it comes easily. It was very clear to me from the very, very beginning that I wanted to have a full body tattoo, even before I had met Marcos. What wasn't apparent to me is that when I met Marcos, I gave absolutely 150% of the control for the story and the art over to him, and I never interfered. I never micromanaged. I gave him he's the artist. I gave him the permission to do whatever he wanted to do on my body, and I completely had confidence 100% in him from the very first day. So I never ever interfered. I never knew what was going to be on my body from one day to the next. Suddenly I woke up and there was a new tattoo. So I think if you're going to do something as intricate as this, then you have to give 100% trust and confidence in the artist to tell the story. I think it was a very bonded, we had like 5 different meetings, or 4 or 5 different meetings before we even started to tattoo. And I could see he was super passionate about what he was doing. He was very, very passionate about art. He's super perfectionista. He's like a perfectionist. And I liked that, and I felt in very safe hands. I had no idea what he was going to draw or what he was going to tattoo, but I had confidence in him that whatever he was going to do, he was going to do with passion and 100%, and I was going to love what he was going to do. So pretty instantly, he had my confidence from the very start, from the very beginning. I never ever second guessed myself throughout the whole process, ever. Photo shoot, yeah, wow, that was a first. That was a first, because the photo shoot we did, I've done photo shoots before for monologues and stand-up comedy, but that was intense. That was like a day and a half almost of hundreds of corrections and notes and pulling the emotion from the camera. It was a super interesting experience to see a collaboration between the photographer, Marcos, Irene, yourself, different people in a team pulling together in one direction. It was an experience for me to see that the egos were checked and the egos were not, combating against each other. They were pulling the best products from the page. It was an incredible experience. I enjoyed the shoot a lot.
Hola, mi chiamo Silvia Quadrini e sono una fotografa italiana. Innanzitutto io vi chiedo di avere pietà, in genere rimango dall'altro lato della camera, di conseguenza ammetto di essere un po' in difficoltà, cercherò di fare del mio meglio. Io amo la fotografia documentaristica, sono sempre stata attratta e incuriosita dalle persone, dai luoghi e dalle storie. Mi piace raccontare attraverso i miei scatti fotografici la storia che li rende unici. Il progetto Emozioni sulla pelle mi ha dato l'opportunità di conoscere lì una persona splendida e di cercare di scrivere con la luce un frammento della sua storia. Marco mi ha coinvolto nel progetto Emozioni sulla pelle e io ho accettato con grande entusiasmo e devo dire anche onore questa proposta. La collaborazione con lui nasce da una lunga amicizia che ovviamente dura tuttora e che ha portato le nostre strade a incontrarsi ancora una volta per lo sviluppo di questo progetto. Le immagini prodotte sono il risultato dell'influenza diretta di opere statuarie che popolano l'immaginario collettivo. Ho scelto di rappresentare in questo modo il rapporto di Lee con il proprio corpo per sottolineare la contraddizione vita-morte che sussiste nell'ambivalenza corpo-anima e che ha ispirato poi ogni scatto fotografico.
Called stenosis, severe stenosis of the lumbar, which is a degenerative disease of the spinal column, which contracts the spinal nerve. It means I fall over, sometimes I pee myself, and you have a lot of pain 24 hours a day. Sometimes I can't walk, sometimes blah blah. The reason I have no teeth is because about 4 or 5 years ago they prescribed me fentanyl, a lollipop, a painkiller, very strong, the strongest painkiller that's killing all Americans, and they gave me lollipops, far too much, patches, and this medicine destroyed all the enamel on my teeth. And masked the pain, but destroyed the enamel in my teeth. So now I have 23 implantes, spera, the otra parte, to repair the damage done by my teeth. Now I don't take these lollipops anymore. I have other medication, and the prognosis is not good. The prognosis is that I'll probably end up having to use a wheelchair at some point in the future. I don't know when, depending how quickly the disease gets worse, or my spine deteriorates. It's not a disease that can be improved by an operation or by surgery or different medicine. It's a degenerative disease that's going to end up affecting my mobility and my extremities and my bowels and my bladder. So not good if you're a potential husband. This was like a little present to my father. My father is dead now. My father's been dead 15 years. And it says in English, daddy's boy, which is hijo de papa. And it's just a reminder every day that to think before I speak and mean what I say and say what I mean. So I'm a very direct person, and it just reminds me to continue to be direct and speak my truth. The emotional thing, the very last session when the tattoo was completely finished, it was a bit of a surprise to me because I kind of ignored it, or I didn't want to understand that I was finishing. I'm an addict, so I was addicted to being tattooed, and addicted to the pain, and addicted to the routine, and addicted to seeing Marcos and blah blah blah. So I didn't want to understand it was ending, but it was a very sad moment when the last day when it was finished and he was like, "Oh, finished." I was like, "Oh no, now you have to tattoo me white, everything white again," because by that time I was completely addicted to being tattooed. And it was a very emotional, it was never a relief because I love being tattooed. It was never a relief to go, "Oh, thank God, no more pain." It wasn't that at all. It was the reverse. It was a very emotional moment for me, very sad, and it was like the end of a very important test on myself. The end of a lot of suffering for a lot of good reasons, and it was very difficult to break up. It was like a very bad divorce, I think.
Mi chiamo Marco, ho 30 anni, sono nel mondo del tatuaggio da 10 anni, mi sono specializzato nello stile ornamentale ispirato al barocco da più o meno 4 anni, grazie a un tatuatore russo che mi sta tatuando mezzo corpo, che mi sono ispirato a lui perché era l'unico che lo faceva, così abbastanza black. E quello che mi piace a me è disegnare a freehand per seguire meglio l'anatomia del corpo di ogni persona e fare un disegno unico e personalizzato per ogni cliente. Come è nata Emozioni sulla pelle? Emozioni sulla pelle è nata grazie a Marina, che lavorava in un bar, che lì faceva il professore di inglese, e niente, un giorno io ero a casa mia a disegnare perché mi ero appena trasferito a Valencia e non mi conosceva nessuno, mi stavo specializzando nell'ornamentazione barocca, tra virgolette, e un giorno lì nella mia sala che stavo disegnando come tutti i giorni 10 ore per imparare, mi arriva un messaggio di lei che mi dice: "C'è un signore che vuole tatuarsi tutto il corpo". Io, sì, certo, come dire, no? Che può capitare una cosa del genere. Però niente, faccio, vabbè, vado a trovarlo e a vedere com'è la movida. Niente, sono andato a trovarlo e quando l'ho conosciuto subito ci fanno i due, non scais bien, mi vai tatuato tutto il corpo, che stavamo simpatici e gli avrei tatuato tutto il corpo. Quando me l'ha detto non ci credevo lo stesso, perciò alla fine sono andato a trovarlo 5 volte in questo bar. Alla quinta sono andato a parlarci e gli faccio, guarda lì, se sei serio, io vado a cercare uno studio perché intanto io non ho clienti né niente, non ho uno studio e per questo progetto voglio documentarlo dall'inizio alla fine. Mi fa sì, serio, e da lì ho trovato, per mia fortuna, e tuttora sono super grato, la pirateria che mi ha accolto, ha accettato il progetto e da lì ho iniziato a tatuarlo tutti i lunedì, all'inizio il martedì e poi alla fine il lunedì. E la pirateria mi ha sostenuto, mi ha aiutato un sacco e da lì è iniziato il tutto, però cosa è successo? Che io quando ho iniziato a conoscerli dello stile che stavo tatuando, cioè stavo disegnando, non ero molto, cioè non è che ero molto informato, non avevo studiato molto, perciò non sapevo bene come comportarmi, soprattutto sul fatto del freehand. Perciò lui è stata la mia, diciamo, cavia e il motivo mi ha motivato per iniziare a fare questo freehand. E perciò così ho scelto le emozioni e poi ho scelto come rappresentarle. All'inizio stavo pensando agli animali, però col barocco. E alla fine ho scelto con le statue, che già avevo fatto qualche esperienza di ornamentazione con le statue, stavo molto bene. E da lì niente, ho scelto tutto, che ho deciso di fare sulla parte destra le emozioni positive, sulla parte sinistra le emozioni negative. Davanti alla vita e dietro la morte. Perciò amore, odio, felicità, tristezza, coraggio, paura, ansia e calma. E niente, quando sono tornato ho iniziato a vedere un po' di immagini e alla fine ho cercato statue che per me suscitavano queste emozioni. Che era l'unica persona que nunca había pensado de conocer en tu vida, porque sí que puede pensar de llegar a un punto como tatuador de conocer a una persona que te dedica a una parte del cuerpo importante, ser un tatu guapo, pero lo que me has dedicado tú, nunca lo había pensado, es la cosa mejor, el regalo mejor que me he hecho en toda la
Entonces,
vida.
un chico en mi vida, de más dolor en mi vida, ha fatto mi corazón roto 20 veces, pero un chico ha roto mi corazón yo mismo tuyo, tío.
Media pareja, dai.
Medio pareja.
Más
Sí.
o menos.
Tú mira, me dado bastante mi pareja
Te he
también.
despegado un
sí,
montón de
vale,
veces también,
vale.
sí.
Seguro
sí.
esto no corta. Vale,
Somos
continúa.
bastante
Este final. Lo siento, no tengo dentro.
Bueno, una relación bastante íntima de 3 años.
Íntimo.
Dai,
Bueno.
un poco.
Sí.
Pero fue una grande experiencia que nunca había pensado en mi vida, de verdad. Y te lo agradezco un montón. Muchas
Ojos
gracias.
Azul, muy guapos. Va.
Y nada.
Muchas
grande
horas,
persona.
muchas horas. Ahora, yo no tengo vergüenza de nada ahora. De
También.
todo Valencia, mira mi culo, mis pivotas, mi nabo. También bajo más o menos 30 kilos en el proyecto, ¿eh?
Sí, he cambiado un montón en estos años.
Porque
Sí.
tengo vergüenza que
Sí.
un día mire mi culo en el
Sí,
espejo.
sí.
Es bien para de ahí.
Y una cosa que puedo decir de este tatu que ho trasmitido cuando tatuavo le emociones que he representado en tu piel. Y una cosa que tengo que decir que ahora mismo aún no lo creo de haber hecho todo eso. Y de verdad, muchas gracias.
Oh, Marcos. You're welcome. Cuando tengo
I love
tu
it to you.
cuerpo, tú puedes tengo mi cuerpo también. Es una aventura y no
Bueno,
terminando
ahora
aún.
mismo, no lo he pensado, y lo digo ahora mismo, tienes que tatuarme algo, sí. De recuerdo,
qué?
tú tienes que tatuarme algo a mí.
Claro.
Nunca lo he pensado, pero ahora que lo estoy pensando que un mini tatu de algún lado tiene
No
que
puedo
hacerlo.
tatuar este porque en italiano
Joder,
sono
ho puesto mi firma
sempre
en tu
muy bajo.
barriga, por lo menos tú tienes que tatuarme. Ahora lo vamos a hacer. Puta madre.
It's quite chill.
Lo ponemos dentro como un nuevo tatuador de la piratería.
A ver, lo más punky que te ha hecho.
Sí, esto es más punky.
Tattoo
de
the
todo.
carcel.
¿Qué línea tiene?
18.
Muy bien, Lee. Eres un máquina.
For me, yo quiero decir gracias para todos en el estudio de tatu de la piratería, León de todo equipo, RN, todos. Marcos también, Silvia de fotografía, yo tengo experiencia súper agradable. Gracias para todos. Sois un medio century and es una buena experiencia los últimos 4 años de mi vida. So, gracias. Tengo ganas para bailar un poquito cuando yo puedo en la fiesta.
Y yo también agradezco a todos lo que me han ayudado, porque yo solo no había podido montar todo lo que hemos montado. Muchas gracias obviamente a ti, gracias a ti que tenemos todo eso. Y gracias de verdad a la piratería, a todo el equipo que me ha ayudado y a toda la gente que está aquí, que espero que le puede gustar la muestra y puede disfrutar la fiesta. Ah, y otra cosa. Una cosa importante que espero que no sé si puede salir. Si alguien que está mirando quiere tatuarse un bodysuit que está todo limpio, contactarme, que podemos hablar, que me encantaría tatuar algo de bonito ahora mismo que tengo experiencia. Contigo no tenía experiencia, ahora mismo podría hacer algo de guapo y hacer una emozioni sulla pelle 2. Pero bueno, tú eres el primero. Si te tengo un segundo sería guay.
No puedo esperar, entonces yo voy antes de anunciar este. Puedo esperar, entonces yo voy y tú puedes anunciar este.
Ah, que va, juntos.
Ok, adiós, gracias. Para todos.
Un beso a todos.